Hi there, welcome again, and I just wanted to do a quick little recap of where we are at this point. In the box, you're also going to have 3 pieces of paper. One of them is this recipe. The other one is going to be our catering at Ross page information and how to get a hold of us for any catering. And the other one is going to be our kitchen par Sundry list. We're going to go over this in a second, but first I want to go over meal planning and prep really quickly before we move on to our final steps and then building of the bowl. So meal planning and prepping for that. So typically when I'm thinking about these things, I'm thinking about what am I going to want to eat for the following week and how can I get the most bang for my buck. So a lot of items that I typically do are stews, are different items that I can braise, and braising is where you sear something and cook it under liquid. I do, like I said, once again, when getting into that Friday, maybe going to be shopping Saturday, I have a list of things in front of me that I could potentially not only create food from for the initial Monday, Tuesday, but then potentially for Thursday and so on and so forth. I go out to eat Friday nights to try to help support local businesses, but Wednesday can be also a day that is a lull day. But when I'm doing this, it can be difficult because you're thinking of your meats that you're familiar with. I think that's where you're going to have to start to take the time to learn about different cuts of meat and what they're used for. There's ways of getting things that you can take and prepare and then portion and freeze and then have them readily available for you for those contingent days that you didn't really plan for. So, for instance, something that I tend to do in the summertime is I'll smoke like a whole pork shoulder, or I'll braise some chicken thighs, or I'll take an eye of a round and I'll make bulgogi out of it. And so these are all things that you can take, and then after you take this large portion of meat, and you get your final, what they call yield, your final usable weight, you can portion it and then put it in Ziploc bags and then try to make them as flat as possible. I do label, I do date in my house. I know it sounds crazy. And then I organize myself in my freezer in a manner of what we call in the kitchen life FIFO, first in, first out. So, but I do know at any given time how I'm purchasing and what I'm purchasing and how I'm planning for the week. If you can get things on your Sunday done ahead of time, just even marinating. Some things you can marinate for shorter amount of times or longer amount of times, I'm sorry. And the longer amount of times you want to reduce your salts and your vinegars. Once again, those will denature and change the structure of what you're doing. But it's not saying you can't marinate a chicken breast on a Sunday for a Wednesday. Just reduce the amount of vinegars and salts in there. But think about what you like to eat and then structure yourself out to maybe get larger cuts of meat, have some backups assembled into your freezer that you can quickly pull from, and then planning a menu out and then getting the appropriate amounts of food when you go shopping. I know that it's been statistically said that somewhere, I think the average household wastes about $1,000 in food a year, just in produce that you end up throwing away or food that you prepared too much of, and then you don't really take it and pre-think out what you're going to use and maybe freeze the rest. And I'll give you a prime example for that. Everybody makes chili. I don't know anybody who makes 1 cup of chili. Everybody makes the same amount, a gallon, maybe 2 gallons. And I get it. Some people out here might eat the whole thing, and that's great for you. But there's going to be those times that you got this pot of chili in your refrigerator, and you're sitting there, and week 1 went by, maybe you ate half, maybe you ate less than that. Now you're pushing it. You're going to go week 2? Sure, why not? Let's see what happens. Week 2, and so what I'm trying to say to you is, think about what you're really going to eat, and go to Meijer's, go to wherever, get yourself some Tupperware, and portion these things out, or Ziploc bags, and label them, date them, and freeze them. Pull them out as you need them. Pull them out as a part of your planning process. I know what I have. I know I have turkey chili down there. I know I have some braised foods I can take and put with a sauce. I can plan those out with just a starch and with just a vegetable, and then that can take away from some of that stress and some of that binge eating and some of that inappropriate not planned out food. What am I going to eat today? Well, I didn't make nothing, so I got a bag of chips. Don't get me wrong, I've been there. Got it. You do love it. But, this is one of those things where we're planning. Food storage and the safety of it and how long to keep it. Once vegetables have been cooked, and I get it, you didn't eat all of them, you got a day. I mean, really, if you're not eating them the following day, don't waste your storage on them. Try to plan appropriately, and I'm talking about that side of vegetables or whatever. The longer you cook something, the longer you hold a vegetable, the more minerals, the more vitamins it loses. And you don't want to eat mush or whatever. So vegetables that are cooked, short amount of time. Keep an eye on what you do have inside of your refrigerator. Look through there. I'll say that, when I buy cilantro comes in a bag. Cilantro hates humidity and moisture. Hates it. So you now bought the cilantro, it's in a bag, you took it, you tied it, you threw it in the refrigerator. You came back to it a week later and it looks like snot. It does, it looks gross. You should take cilantro, you can take it, you open the bag, you can take it out of the bag, you can put a wet paper towel around it, and then you can hold it longer. You can keep it for a couple weeks. Cilantro can go quick. And that's the same with all your herbs and how you should take care of them. Don't keep them in a bag, moisture kills them. And then the duration of time there. Proteins, 3 days, really. You want to have something on your agenda. If it's raw, you're going to get it cooked in 3 days. If it's not going to get cooked in 3 days, it's got to be marinated. The marinating slows the breakdown and the spoilage of the food. Once it is cooked and you have it sitting there, there's different, once again, the chili sitting there for a week. It's got so much spices and salt and everything that it's not going to spoil as fast as a chicken breast sitting there already cooked in the refrigerator. Cooking, yes, kills bacteria, but it doesn't stop the new bacteria and spoiling of this item. Once it goes from one area to another, the process now begins all over again of it getting broken down and wasteful. So when you're looking at what you're doing in the fridge, think about that. Think about 3-day rule for your items to get marinated or to get cooked or have them cooked. And that will get you 1 whole week. You really don't want to have raw food in there for 2 weeks. If you have chicken breast and it's sitting there for 2 weeks and you didn't take it and freeze it, you're going to have risks. Purchasing meats that are bulk, once again, if you get something that's a chicken breast, you got to eat chicken breast in it. Think about what you're going to use week 1, portion the other 2, 3, whatever, get them in the freezer. And that helps you also with your meal plan. Once again, you know what you got in there. So that's, in my nutshell, how I go about it, and how I think about it when I go to the store, and how I have tried to avoid waste, and how then I know how to take care of the food that potentially could end up going bad. So with that being said, I wanted to, before we start the vinaigrette, because we're going to do the vinaigrette, we're going to make the bowls, and then we're going to probably end, and then there will be some Q&A. But I want to go over this par list. This is my sous chef and I, we try to think about, strip it down, take away the crazy creativity stuff we're trying to do at home. And if we were just moving into a house, what's something that we would potentially want to have just to get us started? So that way we could hopefully make majority of anything without really having to think too hard about it. So I created a spice list here, and I'm just going to kind of go through this really quick. Spices: salt, black pepper, cumin, garlic, onion powder, chili powder, paprika, red pepper flakes, clove, nutmeg, cinnamon, ground ginger, coriander, which I put as optional. Depends on what you think. It's not a backbreaker, but it does go well with Southwest foods. And mustard powder or seed, which I think goes in a lot of different things, especially some ethnic cooking. So I would have those on hand. Your dried, now when I got herbs here, these are dried herbs. Fresh herbs, you can get them as you need them. But this is to have. Once again, dried herbs, par, you need to make something here. Thyme leaves, some sort of an Italian blend or oregano. Basil leaves, rosemary, tarragon, sage, and dill. That pretty much covers you through getting through your chicken, your poultry, your meats, your seafoods. And if you're a vegetarian, vegan, these are also good to have in there. If you're a vegetarian, vegan, you might probably be using a lot more of the fresh herbs. In the realm of healthy eating, the more herbs and spices you can use, the less sodium you'll potentially use, the healthier this will be for you. Some of these things here could be antioxidants, and they would help you and aid you in digestion and help with inflammatory issues that could occur. Vinegars, white, apple cider, balsamic. Me myself, I love rice wine vinegar as well, but I don't have it on your list. Rice wine vinegar is slightly sweeter. I think it lends itself to a lot of different things, and I kind of go that way. Apple cider vinegar, when I poach some eggs, I put a little apple cider vinegar in the water. So that's something to think about when it comes to vinegars. Liquids. This is something that typically are either used in marinades, or you can make sauces out of, or in addition to things can actually be sauces on themselves. Worcestershire. Soy sauce, a good quality one, not Kikkoman. I'm not a big fan of Kikkoman. When I say a good quality one, I want you to do the legwork. I'm not going to, what I use a mushroom-based soy sauce. I go to a market that's Asian in nature when I buy my Asian ingredients. I don't go to a Meijer's or a Kroger's. I go out of my way to find a place that has the not butchered form of something. A lot of the things I think that are made that are over the counter, and don't tell the companies this, that are American versions of something are like heavily soy, heavily seasoned, and they take away from what it is, and you'll definitely notice a difference if you take the time to explore that. So please, don't keep them up. All right, back to it. Mustards. And have yourself a nice salad mustard, Dijon, and a coarse grind. Now, coarse grinds, go good with chicken. You can do something along those lines. With a Dijon, you can incorporate that with honey and mayonnaise. You get yourself a honey mustard. You could just have that on a sandwich. I mean, there's a lot of things we call for mustard that helps out. Hot sauce. I wasn't a Frank's hot sauce person until recently. I like it. So I keep Frank's red hot. I put that on everything in my refrigerator, and I do enjoy it. Tabasco is a staple in most of your recipes. And then when you start going in further on here, sriracha has its own unique flavor, gochujang, which I love. I recommend you explore what that is, and that's a fermented pepper paste. Once again, got to go to an Asian market for that. And that is something it's delicious. It's going to help to it. Lemon juice, vanilla extract. Lime juice you don't need. Vanilla extract, you're going to use that in baking. You're going to use that potentially in cocktails. You're going to use that in foods and vinaigrettes. I mean, it really isn't a one-trick pony. It's not just for your desserts. Sweeteners, something that we all should be cutting back on. And I've stopped putting sweetener in my coffee. Sugar, honey, pancake or maple syrup, stevia or Trulia, some sort of a healthy sugar substitute if you're going that route, and powdered sugar or brown sugar. If you didn't have brown sugar, white sugar with molasses would work, but I didn't put molasses on here because it's not really needed unless you're going to do that next level, that next advancement stage of this. So sugars, and I know a lot of people are like, well, so you're having these Trulia and stevias, why don't you just put that in your coffee? You're good, right? So you, in your mind, and as far as like calorie counts and stuff along that level, realize that you're eating something healthier, and that's fine. Your body inside of you, it's not on the same page of the way that you're thinking. So it knows that you're putting a sweetener in. It knows that something's happening there. And then once again, all the same things that could potentially happen with diabetes are happening. Yeah, the chances are increasing. So still, if you're using those sweeteners, don't think that you're safe. Think that you're just making a substitute and you're trying to be more conscious about it. I will admit it's better than sugar, yeah, but still it is doing something to you, something to know about. Baking, you got to have all-purpose flour. You can do a lot of different conversions online if you had to do bread or something like that with all-purpose flour. So all-purpose covers a gamut of what you're able to do with it. Cake flour is the implementation of all-purpose and a little bit of sugar, probably a leavener. You need to take that out.
I'll check it.
Okay. I'm going to keep going here. So breadcrumbs, everybody's got to have breadcrumbs. You don't need to get seasoned breadcrumbs if you have all those dried herbs. And you can season it however you want. Baking soda, pan spray, molasses. Oh, I did put molasses. So there you have it. I did put molasses. So Molasses I use for a lot of different things, including cocktail making, so I think it's an important part of it. There's a drink that's called the flip. Not the flip that you're traditionally aware of probably, but there was one that was used back in the days of pirates, and I can go into that another time. But it's an enjoyable drink and where you, another time. Anyways, oils. I put down here canola or corn. Use sparingly. Once again, these are mass-produced items that, they're at a price and they're a commodity and they're made a certain way, and they aren't necessarily the best for you. I recommend if you are able to use a peanut oil, I love peanut oil, I use a peanut oil. If you cannot due to allergy or you're concerned of allergy issues, use yourself an avocado oil. I use coconut oil sometimes. And then obviously the last one's the extra virgin olive oil. For the sake of what we're doing today, I did do a little bit of searing off with some extra virgin olive oil. I typically don't do any cooking with extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is once again great for vinaigrettes, marinades, stuff along those lines. Canned goods. I got on here tomato paste, tomato puree, diced tomatoes. I think with those three you can make salsa, you can make different kind of sauces. I mean, those three things all together, if you had them, you can go right across the board with it. Then we go into some of the things that you just want to have around your house. Once again, paper products, plastic wrap, foil, wax or parchment paper, sandwich bags. If you have a sandwich bag that has an area on it, you saw the ones I'm giving you, have an area for labeling and dating. I recommend that. 1 gallon bags for deep freezing. That's for if you made like chili. Spread it out thin, let it cool quicker. Garbage bags. Obviously, all houses should have garbage bags. Don't let your garbage can, get to a state where you're not using a garbage bag. You're throwing stuff directly in it. Garbage cans. Let me just get, because I have to think about garbage cans. 1, you put a bag in a garbage can. You fill the bag up. You take the bag out. Garbage can should be washed. I get it's winter. You can't do it right now. Once the weather breaks, you should wash your garbage can. You should. Garbage can, there's holes pop in the bag, they get funky, they get nasty. You should wash your garbage cans, please, as well. Then change the bag regularly. So that's my feeling about that. Kitchen equipment. And this is what we'll go to, and then we'll start getting the vinaigrette. We'll talk about how I'm going to prep some of these vegetables, cleaning an avocado, so on and so forth. So when you're doing with the kitchen equipment, we got a French knife and a chef's knife, same thing. And that's typically what you see here. This is something that we use in the kitchen, an extension of our body. It's typically, just to serve all-purpose knife. Paring knife. Paring knife is your smaller blade knife when you're doing fruit peeling prep. You're cutting segments out of an orange. That's typically what you would use as a smaller paring knife. I know a lot of people are probably laughing right now. They're like, well, I just use that big knife for everything. I got it. Vegetable knife. A vegetable knife to me is one of the ones that is swooped down in the front. It is almost like a rectangle, but has a slight swoop in the front. Typically it was used in Asian culture to kind of grew in popularity here in the States within the past 15 to 20 years, I'd say. A zester. They've got nice little hand zesters that I think work really good. I think that they're inexpensive, all-purpose, once again, marinades. You can use them in any kind of cooking. I use the zest of a lemon. If something calls for a lemon juice, and I'm cooking something, and so I got a whole lemon, and I might use that zest to add a little flavor to pick up that lemon flavor. There's oils in the skin that can actually push it up a notch. Immersion blender. So this is what we were talking about earlier. This is the Cuisinart immersion blender. Okay. It's got a couple different speeds, safety mechanism. Please unplug it when you clean it if you have one. I have seen somebody leave it plugged in and attempt to clean it, and they hit the on button with their hand in there. So don't do that. So we have the immersion blender. I've got a heavy duty bar blender. If you have a smaller blender, both can be used for this purpose. Cutting boards. In here, we use white cutting boards. They're a hard polyurethane plastic cutting board, and we have them color coded based upon what we're doing. At my house, I use a wood cutting board. Wood is safe so long as you keep it clean. And once it gets deep grooves, or if you had it to where it's pressed together and you see there's separation, you need to dispose of it and get yourself a new one. So I think that it's really about your comfort level, but I've seen some really pieces of garbage out there, and I can't state that enough, that please get a cutting board that is either hard polyurethane plastic, a size that you can work with on a countertop, or wood. Make the investment. I can't state it enough. The little thin plastic, whatever the heck that is, that sometimes you're just given as a gift for what? It's garbage. It's garbage. You don't want that. That's garbage. Anything besides, if it's glass, it's garbage. Anything besides what I'm telling you right now, and you can say what you want about it, it's garbage. It's garbage. Okay, so we're going to talk. That's the end of the cutting board conversation. Whisks. Gotta have whisks. They come different too. There's some I've seen that are round like this. There's some that are flimsy. There's some that are firmer. And there's also ones that I've seen that kind of come out with points on each side. I like the one with the point that's on each side. We don't have any of those here. That's kind of for your home. And I think you can get it at like Sur La Table, if that's still around anymore. COVID, I think, shut them down. I think COVID shut them down. Maybe in a bad way. Williams-Sonoma will have them. But the reason why is you're able to get to if you're doing like this, you can get to the corners or the edges of a pan if you find the one that has the points like that. So, and I would go for you can see this is kind of bendable, maybe, I don't know. Don't get the super firm. Super firm, I really don't know the purpose of it. It doesn't work for me. Maybe for mixing around
Like a thick,
tartar sauce or something like that.
more for
But still, I could do it with this. If you had to buy one, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is get the one with the edges and get it that it's more bendable. All right, so we move on from that. Tongs. I have my clicky clicks. You can test them at the store, so you make sure that they work. They only work when they click. Rubber spatulas. You got to have rubber spatulas. I recommend a couple of them. When they get cracks, when they get any kind of breaks in them, once again, it's an area for bacteria to be hidden, and you have to dispose of them. Let me just show them that.
Also making sure that they know.
Yeah, so we have a heavy-duty rubber spatula. This one's actually looking like it's on its way out as well. So you can see this one's got little road rash. That's it, man. If somebody ended up taking this and they somehow got bacteria in there, they made a cold sauce. Cold sauce now has said bacteria in it. Health department would be telling us this one's at the end of the road. So bye.
Make sure that you spend the money on heat-resistant spatulas. Don't get the cutesy cheap ones. Make sure you spend a little bit more money because they will melt into your food on your pan and on your stovetop if you get the small cutesy colored ones.
Or the ones that have like a pattern on them. If you notice the pattern's disappearing, weird, huh? Guess where that pattern's going? Right into your tummy. Which I'm sure if you're already thinking about how you're going to eat sugar responsibly, you're definitely not getting the patterned spatulas. Right, okay. A wooden spoon. Wooden spoons, I think, are clutch. I use them a lot in sauce making and stuff like that. They're heat resistant. If you don't have to worry about it melting into something. Hopefully you don't leave a flame just blaring out and it burns. So we said the rubber spatula. I was going to put down a metal spatula, but I got a fish spatula here, and I think the fish spatula covers that gambit. Fish spatula is a spatula that's smaller and it has these large grooves in it, and the reason for that is to remove the fish without tearing it to bits from said pan. You can use it for anything. So you don't really need a metal spatula if you got a fish spatula, I think. Yeah. All right. So slotted metal spoons, and then I think if you have slotted and you had a ladle, you really don't need to have a whole metal spoon, but you could have one. But I was thinking that is a reason. So colander for your house and strainers. This is from my house. I actually brought it in today. Once again, use this for rinsing rices and everything along those lines. The colander for your pastas. This is the fine handheld strainer at the bottom of the page. Oven pads. No mitts. No mitts, no mas, no dice, okay? I caught it here, AKA bacteria gloves, which I don't know if the people that are typing this up will keep that on there for you. I'm going to say that, though, because I don't believe you're going to wash your mitts enough, and I think that's gross. So don't buy mitts, and don't justify it. It's gross. Box graters, cheese, grating it, mac and cheese. If you don't eat mac and cheese or some sort of, once again, if you had soft tofu, here we go again. You got the box grater. 6-inch Teflon pan. 6-inch. Well, I think I wrote 6 to 8 inch. So that, you're making eggs, you want something that's non-stick, I recommend that. I would definitely do that. One heavy bottom pot. That's the thicker bottom I was discussing. Hey, I got this chili going, and I got to go do this for 15 minutes. Things will be fine. that's going to burn. So with a heavy bottom pot, I'm not telling you it's going to solve all your problems, but it will take longer for it to burn. It's going to solve a good amount of problems. So I got my sous chefs nodding at me like it's going to solve a lot of problems.
A lot of dishes that you will try to cook that you find recipes online for, especially anything that's relatively braised at all, you will find that if you do not use a heavy bottom pot, even if it's not listed on that recipe, your dish will most likely burn and not cook correctly, that you're not going to get the desired outcome that you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then we're almost at the end here. Cast iron pan. Cast iron pan's a lot of fun. Sometimes, where am I at with it? It's one of those things I bring out. You can do cast iron pizzas. It does sear things well. But if you aren't managing it properly, you can ruin it. But they are fixable. If you do have one that's got a little rust in it, you just have to scrub it. You have to go through the process of re-curing it. And we can talk about that. It's in actually one of my videos on catering at Ross. You can go back and watch all of them until you find it. So that way I know you're watching all my videos, because I'm not going to tell you. So they'll help you keep it fixed. Large saute pans. Once again, 14 inches, 16 inches. I have a metal one at home, but I also have a Teflon one at home. And I know a lot of people are like, there's been studies found that the Teflon, it's in food. I think if you're using metal pans on Teflon, then yes, there's probably Teflon in your food. I think if you realize, do not touch that pan with anything metal, you're not going to have that problem. And my Teflon pan kind of becomes, a one pan cooking situation. Whenever I'm making a meal, one pan. And I don't have to worry about sticking. I don't have to worry about that. Here we don't use Teflon pans except for making omelets. So there you have that. And so that's large saute pans. Sheet trays. Half pan size. I had one. Oh, the chicken's on it. So that's, I'd have to show it to you. I'll show it to you when I bring the chicken out. It should be in the refrigerator. She's going to grab me one. So that's really what you need. And that's for, once again, roasting. And then cooling racks. And some people call them cookie racks. Some people call them glazing racks. I don't think you guys would, but you probably call them cookie racks. But you saw that I cooked the chicken on that. And that is a glazing rack or a cookie rack. And the reason why I have that is to raise things off the pan. Once again, cooking things from all sides of it. So I hope this wasn't brutal on your ears, which I'm pretty sure it was, because I can be long-winded, and that is how that goes. Oh, here you go, half-sheet tray. So, and I get it. It doesn't fit in my fridge. Well, take it off the pan when you put it in the fridge. This is something you should have. I have a couple of them at home. I do, my turkey on there. I do a lot of things on this. But you can do your baking. They're pretty much universal across the board. I don't have my glasses on. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Catering at Ross. Anne-Marie, my sous chef here, she does a heck of a job. She puts a lot of different things out there. And I know we're doing limited menus over at Seagull Cafe. And we appreciate anybody and all that came out and helped support us. It's been a tough year. I think just in the industry and then let alone mentally for us. And we're trying to do the best we potentially can and supporting us by going on to the Catering at Ross Facebook page, liking it, and same with the Instagram. We would like it and appreciate it. The Catering at Ross page, I all summer long did cooking classes with my daughter, and we did them on Tuesdays and Fridays at 11 a.m. And we covered topics pertinent to what was going on at the time. So when all stores were running out of bread, we were doing a whole episode on how to make bread with what you might have at home, the basics. So that way you could have fresh bread. And so on and so forth. We did things, and we left it vague. I called one like any bean chili, because you may not find the beans when the shelves were empty so I couldn't really say like 100% what you were gonna see. So we made these things around the pandemic and around my daughter and I having fun in the kitchen, and hopefully cater to all the people that could take their mind off of this gloomy situation that we're currently in. All right, so I'm just going to keep on rattling along here. We're going to move on to Vinaigrette Town, and we're going to get the final things prepared here, and then we're going to build our bowls.